What's going on, gamers? Welcome into another emergency episode of the Gamers Rose podcast.
Emergency episode?
Yeah, part 2.
I would say bonus episode, but I guess we could call it emergency episode because that's kind of what it feels like.
Right. Sorry for no video, guys, but this just happened last minute, so we just jumped into the studio, recorded this, and getting it done.
I would like to point out that we finished recording our episode for this week, I think, like 3 hours ago. Yep. And then 3 hours later, this news broke, and I'm like, really? So we're sliding this one right in here.
Anyway, we're coming to you guys because Sony just bought Destiny developer Bungie for $3.6 billion.
This literally happened the news broke probably a couple hours ago, like 2 hours ago maybe.
Yeah. So
it's
not obviously near as big as something that Microsoft did earlier in the month, but oh my gosh.
It still is weird to me because this means, like we were talking just before we started recording, this means that the original Halos might show up on PlayStation now.
Yeah, I mean, Master Chief could be a Sony pony, you know? I mean, not the newer ones, obviously that's 343, but
Halos 1, 2, and 3 and ODST.
Yeah, and in fact, they even helped make Halo Reach. So they were that Halo Reach was kind of like a bridge between Bungie and 343. They both kind of collabed on it. Bungie still had a hand in it. 343 was the one that made it, and then it went fully 343 after that. So I'm wondering if they would bring Reach. I don't know. I don't even know if they'll bring the original Halos, but they could. But that being said, this article by Josh Boyles, it says Sony has acquired developer Destiny and the original Halo games, Bungie, for $3.6 billion. This is the second huge acquisition of the month as the game industry shifts in a big way. Earlier this month, Microsoft acquired Activision for a whopping $68.9 billion. Now it's Sony's turn to make a big move. Bungie is the developer of a hugely popular MMO, Destiny. It was previously responsible for developing the original Xbox games for the Xbox, which is crazy, in my opinion. It says, after 10 years under Activision, the studio went independent to focus on developing Destiny 2. Now it's joining the PlayStation family. Bungie put out a tweet, says, Bungie has limitless potential to unite friends around the world. We have found a partner in PlayStation that shares our dream and is committed to accelerating our creative vision of building generation-spanning entertainment. Our journey begins today. And I'm kind of shocked. I didn't think they would do that. I thought maybe they'd purchase EA or something like that, but for them to go and purchase Bungie, that's going to be weird seeing that as a PlayStation
So it was quick to point out that Bungie will still remain an independent developer. They will still kind of remain doing their own thing, and they're still going to remain cross-platform.
Well,
which was kind
Destiny's remaining cross-platform.
No, it said Bungie was. It said Bungie will remain an independent cross-platform studio. This doesn't mean that they're not going to make some PlayStation exclusives. I would assume that they would, but I mean, hold it. I'm going to pull this up. I'm pretty sure the article you sent me said that they will remain cross-platform, but I could be wrong.
Well, the way I read it, and again, I could have read it wrong as well. The way I read it was simply that Destiny is not going anywhere. All the Destinies they make are going to continue to be cross-platform.
Yeah, it says legendary developer to join PlayStation as an independent multi-platform studio and publisher. So
what does that mean?
I don't know.
Because if they make Destiny and make that multi-platform, they could still make single-player exclusive for PlayStation.
Yeah, I assume
probably their single-player stuff is going to be.
I don't know. It's corporate jargon again, so it's kind of hard to tell exactly what they're saying. But it sounds like they will continue to develop, the way they always have. They'll continue making stuff. They'll just kind of report to Sony. It does mean possibly that we'll see some Bungie stuff come to PlayStation that previously wasn't, like we were talking Halo, maybe. It's really hard to tell with stuff like this because it happens. Everybody jumps on the train, gets super hyped up, makes all these predictions, and then the thing about these big acquisitions is they take time. Like we were saying, we won't see the Activision Blizzard deal go through with Xbox probably fully until next year, early next year. So who knows? That obviously the Bungie deal will probably take less time because there's only one studio to work through rather than
3.6 billion only. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, compared to the 70 billion. So it will take less time, but it will still take time. And so by that time, everyone will kind of have calmed down and then we'll actually see what it will mean. It does seem to be a little bit less, what's the word I'm looking for? Like headline breaking than the Activision buyout.
Right. When I first saw it, for whatever reason, I thought 343. So I thought the future Halo games are going to be coming to PlayStation instead of Xbox. That's why
that would have been insane.
That's why I lost it. I was like, wait a minute. They just went to Xbox main first-person shooter and said, we're taking that. Like, that's what I first thought. That being said, it would be weird to see Halo on the PlayStation.
It wouldn't feel right.
Even if it's the Halo 1 through 3. Like, I
don't know. It wouldn't feel right.
That being said, though, Bungie made Halo. Right? Mm-hmm. They made Halo 1 through 3. They made an amazing first-person shooter. Then they made arguably one of the best MMOs on console. I didn't care for Destiny too much, but a lot of people do. Like, it's a huge game.
I played the first one, and I really liked it. I never got into Destiny 2.
So, that being said, I could see Bungie creating the next amazing first-person shooter exclusive for Sony.
Mm-hmm.
As well as making, obviously, multiplayer games for both platforms.
And especially as we've seen with the releases of Call of Duty and Battlefield, it doesn't seem like the two giants are really doing that well.
Right.
It's almost time for a third one.
And if anything, this is Sony saying, we're going to give you money to be able to make your games.
Right. That's kind of essentially what it's sounding like. And obviously, Sony is going to take some of the profits.
Right.
But it sounds like Bungie will actually have some backing to do something. And the platform.
Which means I would doubt that Bungie's games will go to Game Pass.
Probably not Game Pass, but they probably will at least be released on Xbox.
Maybe it'd be like a first party, like not first party exclusive, but like a limited exclusive.
Yeah, a timed exclusive on PlayStation.
Right, for like a
Xbox.
year or something. I could see PlayStation doing that. They're like, oh, it'll be on Xbox after a year.
Yeah.
Like, that
happens. Like the KOTOR remake is going to be that way. Deathloop was like that. It's normal.
So that being said, though, this is 20 times less than what Microsoft did. I also feel like this is Sony's way of being like, well, see, we bought a studio and we're still allowing it on everything. So,
it's definitely reaction.
Microsoft, you should allow everything from your studio that you bought. It's like, well, that's a whole different jump.
Which is kind of ironic for Sony because they're kind of known as the people who don't like to play nice with anybody. Right. Like they didn't even do E3 for a couple years. They haven't done E3. They've done State of Play because they're too good for E3. So like, it's a little weird to see them be like, oh, look, we're cooperating, Microsoft. I'm like, the only reason you're doing this is because Microsoft, like, it's directly, it's a direct response. And
they're like, please don't take away our Call of Duty.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah. So that's the thing. It's really easy to get excited about all this because, these studios have more money and that sort of thing. But one article I read, we'll link it in the description. We'll link a couple different articles. They were saying it's kind of funny and it's kind of scary because it kind of feels like these corporations are snapping up these smaller studios like pawns in a big chess game. And like eventually Sony and Microsoft are going to own everything. And it's just going to be, it's not going to be a console war anymore. It's going to be this studio Cold War where like everyone's just releasing games and you can't get, nothing will be cross-platform. I know everybody's saying it's going to remain cross-platform, but I don't know. I like the idea of indie studios, and it feels like at this point, if an indie studio gets to a point where they're big enough, they're just going to get snapped up by one of the big guys.
But that's the thing. They don't have to.
They don't have to, but they will because that's
money.
They want the money. So like, even the most passionate indie studio is going to be hard pressed to look past even like it's $3 billion. Like, tell me you wouldn't sell your life goals for $3 billion.
Never.
I'm
just kidding. You want this podcast? I'll sell for $3 million.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not saying that I'm like any better, but I'm saying that the big guys are going to go after every little studio they can now just to say that they have them because no longer you cannot sell your console anymore on the hardware. For a while, it was hardware, it was graphics, it was power, especially in the 90s. Mm-hmm. You saw it with like the Genesis / Mega Drive pushing their blast processing, saying that it was more powerful than the SNES. You saw it with even going into the Saturn, into the N64 PlayStation era, and then kind of dying out around the GameCube PS2 era. And then by the time we got to the 360 PlayStation, it was brand loyalty. Then it was who do you belong to brand wise. Now, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are pretty much the same power wise. The thing that the PlayStation has is the DualSense controller, and now it's games. Yeah. Whether it's Game Pass for Xbox or the exclusive you get on PlayStation, that's what you buy a console for. And I feel like it's going to get to the point where you're not going to be able to buy any game without having both systems. Right. Or you're going to miss out on half of the gaming landscape.
Well, I would even argue the 360 and the PS3, those were like, okay, do you play by yourself in single player, or do you want to play online? If you want to play online, Xbox is where it's at. Otherwise, the PlayStation 3. But they even had junky feeling controller system. Just it felt a little like cheesier.
Yeah, so Destiny is an online game. I played it on PlayStation 3 because we had free internet for that. I never ever made friends. Like the online, quote unquote, online component was like you saw people running around when you were out doing missions. But for the most part, it felt like a single player game to me.
Right. But then when you got to the Xbox One, PlayStation 4 ran away with it. They just did it better. Xbox just didn't have much to offer.
Right.
And now I feel like both of them have great things to offer. Xbox with its Game Pass, PlayStation with its first-party exclusives, and then they both do online very well. Both the systems, like you're saying, graphic-wise, both of them have a lower-end system that you can get. Like, they're pretty neck and neck, right? Yeah. They're running down this stretch, neck and neck, to see who's going to win this console war this time. And then Microsoft goes and buys these studios like it did, and Sony finally claps back, in my opinion, in a lackluster fashion.
It is kind of a weak sauce response.
Like if it was just like if Microsoft had just bought Bethesda and it was like what $10 billion, and then Sony came in and bought Bungie for 3.6, I'd be like, okay, that's comparable.
That's a reasonable comparison.
I understand, yes, the other one's a little bit more expensive, but both teams are going to make great games. This is an interesting battle. But for Xbox to buy Activision, Blizzard, all those, oh my gosh. And then for Sony to be like, oh, well, we bought a $3.6 billion. Let's share everything. You share all yours, I'll share all mine.
Yeah, it's kind of like going back to the chess analogy. It's like if one player captures the opposing queen and then the other player captures a rook. It's like, you did something, but
and it's like you lost your queen. It's like I'll give you back your players and you give me back mine. It's like no, because mine are way more valuable, than yours by $67 billion more valuable than yours. So I think I'll keep mine on my side.
Yeah,
think about that. They still have $67 billion worth of studios more than Sony just bought.
And again, the Activision Blizzard thing is there's so many franchises under that umbrella.
But like you said, though, we will see the effects of the Sony transition way faster than we will the Microsoft.
Which means the PS5 will benefit from this faster than the Series S/X generation will.
So that might have played into it as well. They're like, if we get a little, if say they buy these guys and then say in 6 months they do buy EA, right?
Oh, yeah.
Then you're like in 6 months, now they have Bungie stuff. And then by the end of the year, they have EA stuff type deal, in terms of it's actually fully going through their process. That's all going to happen before you see Xbox fully get their stuff done.
Right.
So they might be doing it that way, like one deal at a time, smaller transactions, easier deals to get accomplished, focus on one thing, and then you just see things like, oh man, well, PlayStation's doing this and doing this and doing this.
It's going to have more headlines.
Right.
Because it's going to be happening faster just in smaller chunks.
Whereas
that is a viable strategy.
Right. So, they might know what they're doing. And so we'll see. Or Microsoft claps back and goes, no, we got EA now. So, boom. Now we just put more.
They kind of already do with EA Play over Game Pass. They don't own EA, but they've got a pretty close partnership.
Right. So, man, it's just an interesting time to be in games.
Yeah. I on the one hand, I'm excited. And on the other hand, I'm kind of terrified. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just makes me feel weird.
It puts a smile on my face.
It feels a little apocalyptic. That's all.
That's what makes it exciting, because you're like, okay, who's gonna give first? Who's gonna blow up first? Who's gonna get in trouble with the law first? What's gonna happen? And we just get to sit on the sideline. Hey, as long as they continue to make great games, I don't care. You give me my good media. You give me my good games. I mean, think about it. Say you found the world's best ice cream shop, right? And it's literally across the street. And it has whatever kind of ice cream you want. And it is the best tasting ice cream you've ever had. Why would you care that McDonald's makes ice cream cones?
If McDonald's bought them, I would be worried that McDonald's would no longer let them make the ice cream the way I wanted it.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Like if Xbox, if Microsoft continues to make, if they make amazing games and Activision and Blizzard and all that become better because of this, I'm okay with that. If Sony buys Bungie and Bungie makes an amazing first-person shooter for the PlayStation, I'm okay with that. Like, because they're making good games and they make them count. Now, if Microsoft starts to crap out and become a horrible company and all this, and now all of these things suffer, oh, well, then we're in for a very rude awakening, and it's the rise of the indie studios. You know what I'm saying?
Or just the end of gaming in general.
This is like the Star Wars, this is happening like the Star Wars movies type thing.
Who's the Empire?
That's
what I want to know.
I would say Microsoft.
It's definitely feeling like Microsoft.
But not in a bad...
We got Darth Spencer over there.
But not necessarily in a bad way, right? I mean, then the indie studios are all the younglings that, you know, Anakin goes in and they're like, Anakin, help! They're buying all the studios! And Microsoft's like,
yikes.
And it's like, oh, shouldn't I have
Activision
Blizzard, Treyarch? Oh my gosh.
Why do we always go here? Why do we always go to these like dark places, man? I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying. No, I'm not going to say that. Anyway, so there you guys go. Just wanted to drop the news. I'm cautiously optimistic.
That's how I would describe myself.
I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see what Xbox does. It's almost feeling like it's becoming a pride issue at this point.
Oh, it's definitely
like,
an
who's
image
got
issue.
The bigger ego and like, well, I got more money over here. Like, I don't know, man. I literally could see either of these studios going and being like, you know what, EA, come on over to this. Like, you know, come on. It's like you have, it's like the parent analogy you were giving about like socialism. Like
oh,
the mom,
yeah.
dad. You guys will hear this on Thursday, but it's like you have, you know, Microsoft on one side being like, come on over here.
We got Game Pass.
Come on, it'll be great. And then you have PlayStation on your other side go, oh, come on over here. We got first-person shooters. Like we got, or not shooters, but like first-person exclusives or whatever, first-party exclusives. Like, come on over here. We have the real cool controller and come on over. We got the VR. And the other's like, well, no. Come on over here because now we have all these other studios. And they're like, well, we're buying studios too.
Okay.
And,
so there's that analogy, or there's the analogy of two little kids who are fighting over trying to get a dog to come to them, and they've both got like bologna sandwiches, and they're just like, oh, come here. And EA's just like, like looking back and forth,
what?
like, or I could have both bologna sandwiches.
Yeah.
If anybody can figure out how to have both bologna sandwiches, it's EA.
True.
They'll make them pay microtransactions. Can you imagine?
He's like, we'll be a part of both of your teams. It's like, why are you playing for both sides there, guy? Come on.
Like,
choose.
Do you want the Battlefront DLC? That will only be an additional microtransaction of $3 billion.
Gosh. It's like, wait, but we bought you. It's like, no. You
bought EA.
Yeah,
you did not buy the micro. You did not buy all the content associated with EA. That is extra after you buy the game.
You just got the letters, okay? You got the building and the 2 letters, all right? You want the games? That's not in the contract, all right?
That's the microtransaction. Like I said, if anybody can figure it out, it's EA.
Then it's like, oh, you want the DLC we make for the games? Well, that's a little bit more. Could you imagine if Microsoft's like, well, we got the DLC? It's like, but you don't have the base game. It's like, so neither of you win.
So you can play the DLC on your Xbox, but the main game is on your PlayStation.
How does that work? You have to turn on both systems at the same time.
And plug them in via USB to each other.
Have to cut a controller in half from both systems, wire them back together, combine them.
My head hurts now.
Frankenstein of consoles.
The Franken console.
Oh, gosh. But yeah. So
meanwhile, Nintendo is just like, we're going to re-release Mario for $60. Mario 1, $60.
Oh, Nintendo. They'll be bought out soon enough.
Oh, gosh.
But anyway, that's the news for today. Just, again, just trying to get this out as quick as possible for you guys. Again, sorry, no video. Today is January 31st, and all that happened. Holy crap.
Yep. So we'll see you guys on Thursday. Once again, we will not be talking about it on Thursday because it was recorded in the past because this stuff always happens right after we record.
Every time.
Every stinking time right after we record, someone buys someone else. Also, you were joking about Nintendo, but watch, after we're done with this.
Oh, gosh.
We're going to come back and we're like, we were joking!
We are just going to do an episode every single day now, and, because all news is every day. Anyway.
So thanks for hopping on with us.
Yep.
We'll see you guys tomorrow when somebody else gets bought.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in, listening. Drink lots of coffee, play lots of games, keep your eye on the news. It's shifting all the time. And you know what? Stick your hand up. Microsoft and Sony giving out a bunch of money. So, see you guys Thursday. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.